Enough yet?
Sir.
Right, will you, and another guy. Can I?
Oh, sir. Yeah.
All right. Now then, the lady, of course, gets cold in the winter time, and she'll only end up complaining and the husband giving out. So they often made a cloak to keep themselves warm. And as you can see, they had many different colours in it, like so, like that. And the colours were the stuff that you get around Ireland. Like, for instance, green from grass.
Pink from flowers.
Pink from flowers, a dark purpley colour from berries and the like. But yellow they got from wee. But of course these fellas here are much more hip and cool. Now, as well as that, not only did they have wool, but they also grew a plant called flax, which gives you linen. And of course, we have a linen costume here. So we'll get you into this linen thing. Now, men would have worn trousers, probably made out of wool, okay? And the well-off fella would have had loads of colours and so on. The fella not so well-off would have worn one without too many colours in it, because it cost a lot of time and money to put colours and things like that. And of course, he would, and they hadn't invented pockets in those days. So if they hadn't invented pockets, they had to carry their valuables around with something. So arms out. Okay? Now, they were still using fur, of course, to keep themselves nice and cosy, warm and all that. So likely as not, Fionn would have worn a bit of fur. We had a fur hat there somewhere. Where's everything today? Didn't you bring in a fur hat? Where is it? Ah, good man. So now, these are our Bronze Age people. Will you give them a round of applause? Now, you can put your costume on and take your seat, right? Now. Okay, now. We now have kings and queens, the story of Maeve and Ailill and the Battle of Cooley, and the stealing of the brown bull of Cooley are stories from the Bronze Age Ireland. But of course there was Bronze Age in other countries too. Like for instance, there was a Bronze Age in Greece. So we're going to have a Greek warrior. Sir. We'll have a female Greek warrior for the track. Yeah. Right. Put that on your head.
Or even
and of course the Irish warriors and the
no, should take a
you haven't been up before, have you?
I suppose one will do.
The bronzed Celts, the Celts in Europe, however, would have worn helmets like these. Now you can pick up Radio 2 on this on Tuesdays. Okay, but of course, Bronze Age warriors were very fond of jewellery too. So this is the torque. Now, torques were made out of gold. Okay. Now I brought in some jewellery, guys. Did you see the jewellery?
Yeah.
Where is it? Ah, right. Let's get you untangled here a little bit. Where's our Bronze Age? Well, you're wearing Greek, but what the hey? Now, in Ireland, we had gold, okay? And so this lady is... don't lose that. That cost me 80,000 euros. Okay. Yeah, right. And so we had a Bronze Age in Greece as well as in Ireland. And the story of the wooden horse of Troy is Bronze Age Greece. Maybe you noticed in the film they were using bronze swords, not shiny silver coloured ones, but golden coloured ones. Okay? And so we can give our Bronze Age helmets a round of applause. You can leave your torque on if you like, okay? Oh, by all means, yeah. Go on ahead and get your photograph. We need this for Garda Patrol, right? Now, right. Now, one of the things that they invented in Ireland in the Bronze Age, hurley. Now, you probably haven't seen a hurley like that before.
I have.
Now, you might remember the story of Cuchulainn.
Yeah, he used to have a hurley like this.
That's right. This is the oldest kind of hurley. Now, the thing is that the story of Cuchulainn tells the story. Now, this is a Bronze Age story. This is 1,000 years before Christ. That Cuchulainn was being attacked by the dog. And he threw the sliotar in the air. And he must have been playing for Kilkenny because he'd hit it a skeleton and got the dog right in the mouth. That's probably why we lost the All-Ireland, was it? Because we're in Leader Dog, but not the goalpost. Anyway, Cullen tells the story of the young fellow who became the Hound of Cullen because he used the Bronze Age hurley. Isn't that right? So that's how old hurling is, really old. Also, of course, the Irish language certainly goes back to Bronze Age, and probably before that. So it's one of the oldest languages in the world. But of course, other weapons to come along, of course. Sir, you were up? Were you up? Were you up? Would you like to come up and do this for me? Good man yourself. Now, again, you might have seen this in the film Troy, the bronze sword. Now, what they used to do sometimes was they'd get a big long stone and split it in two and hollow it out in the shape of a sword, then put it together and pour in the metal in on top, and then open it up and you'd have your sword. Now, we know quite a bit about the swords that they had because we find them in rivers. You see, in those days they believed in many different gods, and what they used to do was, to give an offering to the gods, you had to give something valuable. And one of the most valuable things at the time was a sword. So you threw that into the river for the river god, or into the sea for the sea god. But the problem was, some fella thinks, jeepers, there's a free sword, woo-hoo-hoo, and he'd swim down and he'd get it. So what they used to do was sometimes bend the sword in half, so that it was no use as a sword anymore. And quite a few of the swords we find in the National Museum are bent, or broken. So we think, that's silly. Give away a fine sword like that to the gods. Anyway, this bronze sword, of course, is quite a good weapon, except that bronze is not very hard. So now we're getting out of the Bronze Age and we're going into another age. It is the Iron Age. Sir, would you come on up? You haven't been up yet, have you? Right, I have a job for you. Now, one of the swords that we found in Ireland comes from ancient Greece. And it's called a falcata. And it's made not of bronze, but made of iron. Now, the Irish must have been trading with the ancient Greeks to get one of these. Or they were into Greeks, came back to, hey, I got this great idea. Now, iron, you work differently than bronze. What you do is, you heat up the metal in the fire until it goes red. And then you can beat it into shape, because when it's hot, it's softer. And when you beat it, you can beat it into whatever shape. And of course, it's a big slashing, cutting weapon. Now, if I were to hit these two swords off each other, I'd put a dent in this sword, but not even a scratch in that one. Because iron is harder than bronze. See the idea? Now, all of you today will get hold of a sword of one kind or another. But we don't want anyone getting hurt. Especially me. Too bad if you get hurt, but terrible if I get hurt, right? So I have 3 rules about the sword. Rule number 1, don't go and stab somebody with it. Now, they're not sharpened, but the Lord Harry, you go, can you hear that? Oh, I thought I was going mad there for a second. Right, the second rule with the sword is no helicopters. I'll be walking by and they sing clang. No teeth, right? And rule number 3, don't try to sword fight. Now, it's great crack until something goes crack. Ching, 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 crack. That's anything, me finger. Now, among the people that were in Bronze Age Ireland were slaves. And of course, the Irish used to take each other slaves, but they used to sail across to England and take slaves there. They took a particular slave from Wales and put him on Sleevenish in charge of pigs.
St. Patrick.
St. Patrick. Patrick was told by God, go, walk out of there now. What? Walk, go, I'm setting you free. Who are you? I am God, you Aegis. Okay, God, you Aegis, I'm God. Yeah. So, he went to Rome and became a bishop, and then came back to Ireland and said, hey lads, I want to tell you all about God. They said, don't you mean the gods? He said, no, there's only one. I go, yeah, that one God doing everything. Yeah, right. He said, no, there's one God. Now, there's Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Anyway, didn't you just say one God? That was 3, isn't it? Yeah, but you see, they're 3 in 1. They all were 3 guys wearing 1 trousers, is that it? No. He said, right, the Trinity, you got a shamrock with 3 leaves on it, right? There's still only 1 shamrock, right? God is a shamrock? Whatever way they figured it out, Patrick got them to join the Christian faith. And when they did, they gave up their slaving ways. And because there were no towns in Ireland very much except the odd Crannog and stuff, Patrick brought monks to Ireland. And the monks were well-educated fellows who could write things down and add sums up and do all of that. And so the farmers would come down and do their trading down at the monastery. And when they did, they began to make the monasteries very wealthy indeed. Now, these wealthy monasteries became famous around the world, especially in Scandinavia, which invited another bunch of guys to come to Ireland. What guys were those?
The Vikings.
The Vikings. Can I have a Viking for a moment? Right, we'll have a lady Viking. Come on ahead.
Lady
Now,
Viking.
a lady Viking. The best kind of Viking, I'd say. Now, the beautiful lady Viking would have worn a helmet, and she would have carried an iron sword, like so, and she would have carried a round shield, like this. All right, let's have a look at you, my dear. Turn around there, can see. If that girl came looking for money, you'd hand it up right away, wouldn't you? Isn't that right? And so, our Vikings came a-raiding. Now, I think we're gone a bit over the time, are we, guys? You don't care, like?
No.
Oh, gee. Right. Now, just to finish up the story about the Celts. Now, I know we've kind of gone ahead of ourselves around the year 800 now, 800 years after Christ. I want to finish up with the story of the Celts in Europe. And it goes a little bit forward days, guys. Can I have another warrior? If you would. Now,
You've been up, Adam.
did we bring in a Roman? No, we didn't. Oh, we did. Bad job. Now, the Celts were in Europe, and they had been defeated by Julius Caesar around 90 years before Christ. Okay? Now, will you hand us over the sword there? And we should have right. It's pure heavy, isn't it? Now, of course, the Romans. Can I have another Roman? Right. Right, you haven't been up yet, have you? Right. Now, the Romans carried this sword. This is the iron gladius. You might have seen it in Gladiator. Put out your That's it. Now, put out your sword. We have a look at you. Now, the Celts and the Romans fought each other in what is now France. When the Celts were led by a fellow called Vercingetorix. But Julius Caesar was a slightly better commander, and he defeated him. And he brought him to Rome, where he was strangled to death in front of an audience. Oh yeah, oh, that was a great show, marvellous. When are they going to invent Coronation Street? Anyway, in the end of the day, however, Rome's armies became less powerful, and the Celts became more powerful. So around the year 325, the Celts marched into Rome, and they destroyed it, set it on fire, and destroyed the whole place. So now Europe was run by the Celts, and of course, then by the Vikings. So that was the end of our story of the Celts and the Vikings. Now, I was invited here today by your teachers. Will you give them a little round of applause today? Of course, I couldn't have done the show without your help, now could I?
No.
Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, you remember the safety rules. Now, there's one other weapon I didn't mention just yet, and just to finish up, the bow. Now, this is a copy of a war bow, and you'll find it quite stiff to pull back. But, although I have arrows here, I do not want anyone putting an arrow in the bow and pulling it back to see what's going to happen next. It's going to end up sticking me right in the leg. Okay? So you guys can have a look at these iron-headed arrows. But, all right, guys, if you have a few minutes, they're more than welcome to come and look at anything they'd like. Right, let's get you people down there.
Sorry, we have groups at a time. So
You know, bring stuff down with you and give it to somebody else. Right, go on down. Put down your stuff. Okay. Now bring it down where you can get a picture taken of yourself, okay? Now there's some more costumes up here, ladies, over here on the right hand side. Over there in the corner you'll find some things.
You're going to jump off my head. It's too wobbly.
Don't put an arrow in the bow. Yeah. That means it wouldn't work.